And welcome back to Late Night Lately, the late night show. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the late night show for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there sometimes. I don't know where it is right now. Hey, I've got some jokes for you. Here's the monologue, all right? FCC Chairman Brendan Carr, a man whose favorite cookbook is Natural Harvest, a collection of semen-based recipes, seen here, applauded ABC's decision to pull Jimmy Kimmel Live off the air after the host made a tepid joke about MAGA voters, saying, quote, "I don't think this is the last shoe to drop." The only reason he used that analogy is because that's a guy who loves a shoe fetish. How else do you think that he gets his secret ingredient ready to use in that cookbook? Again, that's the cookbook. Okay. Chairman Carr appeared on conservative commentator Scott Jennings' podcast, where he also pointed fingers toward ABC daytime talk show The View, saying that he might have to provide, that they might have to provide equal time to competing political candidates if the show did not fall under the news program genre. I don't know, man. I get all my headlines from those clucking hens over there at The View, including whether or not this baby's expression has gone viral. What a stupid joke that is. President Trump applauded the news of Kimmel's suspension, suggesting NBC hosts Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers are next, writing on Truth Social, that leaves Jimmy and Seth, two total losers on fake news NBC. Their ratings are horrible. Do it, NBC. Now, I, for one, think it's a good thing he's attacking those shows and not the ones of the, the Chicago franchise. Because if so, he'd have to deal with Hank Voight, Kelly Severide, and Sharon Goodwin, and a cast of, maybe 1,000. And trust me, that's not a fight you want. I've seen those people tackle things like a major gas explosion over the course of just 3 hours, not to mention their friends in New York and the FBI. Worth it. Trump posted about the Kimmel news during his, hold on. Excuse me. Gotta find the thing. Trump posted about the Kimmel news during his second state visit to England, where with the UK sitting royalty, and his dozenth with Prince Andrew, which means that the 13th's free and fair game. And finally, New Jersey police are looking for two men caught on video stealing a local mini golf course mascot statue named Humpty Dumpty. No clues were left behind except for an inscription reading, "Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king horses and all the king's men knew that Humpty Dumpty saw Donald J. Trump on the name on the Epstein list, so he had to be silenced." And that's it for the monologue. That's all the jokes I have for you today. Let's get back in. Jesus Christ. Let's get back into. Jesus Christ. I keep touching things. Let's get back into what we have in store for you today. Well, this week in late night was a doozy. We are dealing with, I hate to quote all these. These progressive people who use one vocabulary term that they've learned over the course of, 6 or 7 years. But fascists, this Jimmy Kimmel, if you don't know the story, and I'll start at the very tip top, Jimmy Kimmel made, and as I mentioned in the monologue, that I refused to redo, even though I forgot to put up a Politico story about Brendan Carr and a quote from him anyway, and a Al Jazeera, excuse me. Jimmy Kimmel made it wasn't even a joke. It was just a passing reference to quote, the MAGA gang, and end quote. That's pretty much it. We'll get to it in a second, but you can watch the clip. I linked it in the show notes from September 16th. And truly, it was just like, just 2 words, MAGA gang, that's it. And over the course of the week, as news unfolded, we saw things happen, including Jimmy's show get suspended and pulled from the network because of Nexstar, and we'll get into that in a second. But I hate when I'm watching a YouTube video and it's some person, probably a man, reviewing a piece of technology, and they say, we'll get into this in a second, and it's like a 20-minute video. Just tell me about the thing you want to talk about with the iPhone 17 Pro. Just tell me it. Don't start at the beginning and talk about the screen and all that. Just get into it. Anyway, I have clips from Fallon, Seth Meyers, Stephen Colbert, and Jon Stewart talking about the situation. I had no idea. I had no clue if they were going to talk about it, but it was it's great that they can mention it. And I mean, to the very least, I figured Jon Stewart would say something. And he came in on a Thursday night, so it's wonderful. Go watch their monologues. They all mocked them, and even Stephen Colbert pulled out the Colbert Report, the word. It was in character and everything, and it's one of the few times I watched the Daily Show and the Late Show, and sat through the applause breaks, the many applause breaks. Anyway, and then they all had guests on this week, but I want to get into this story, so I'm done with this. Close everything down. Okay. Now, this comes from the New York Times, written by many people: John Coblin, Michael M. Grinbaum, and Brooks Barnes. ABC pulls Jimmy Kimmel off the air for Charlie Kirk comments after FCC pressure. Now, the exact thing that Kimmel said was, we hit some new lows over the week, and this is all in reference to the man accused of killing or assassinating, the conservative commentator, pundit, racist Charlie Kirk. No one listens to the show. It's fine. But Kimmel said, we hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately. And this is also, keep in mind, Kimmel, along with Seth Meyers and along with Stephen Colbert, and I think who hosted Daily Show last week? It wasn't Klepper. It was Michael Costa. They all mentioned something about the assassination and how we should come together as an American community and not be angry and this and that and the other. But over the weekend, of course, the political violence commentary grew heated, became a lot more heated than what it normally has been. Even after Nancy Pelosi's husband was attacked in his home, and the Democratic congresswoman and her husband were shot and killed point blank at their home, but whatever. We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and doing everything they can to score political points that come from it. Now, conservative activists were so mad about that, about something so innocuous, something that really just means nothing, and it's not fiery in the slightest. Let me go to this piece of internet. This comes from Rolling Stone. Jimmy Kimmel Live pulled indefinitely by ABC over Charlie Kirk comments, written by Charisma Matarang, Aswain Suebsaneg, and Andrew Perez. Okay. The story is locked, and I can read it. Okay. Let's see. Now, you can also read about the details about what happened before and after the suspension. And according to Puck, written by this is Kimmel, Iger, and the Culture of Capitulation. This comes from Matthew Belloni and Kim Masters over at Puck News. They say that there was a Thursday meeting involving all three of the major people. I mean, the major people, including Jimmy Kimmel, Dana Walden, and it ended without a resolution of the standoff. Basically saying, with Disney essentially saying, "Hey, we want you to apologize," and Kimmel going, "No, thank you." Now, according to Disney pulled Kimmel off, Jimmy Kimmel, as pressure built on multiple fronts. This comes from the New York Times, written by John Copeland, Brooks Barnes, Benjamin Mullen, and Michael M. Grinbaum. That this happened well before the 4:30 p.m. taping on Wednesday. Mr. Iger and Disney chief executive and Dana Walden, as I mentioned before, the head of television, were hearing from skittish advertisers and employees who had begun to receive threatening messages. When the team reviewed Mr. Kimmel's planned remarks, he was going to say something on that night's show. They grew concerned that his monologue would only inflame the situation, so they called Jimmy and said, "Hey, we're going to put you on ice really quick." Now, that decision, the product of quickly morphed into a flashpoint for free speech in America. So many different celebrities, Mark Maron, the show's guest for that night, including who was Wanda Sykes, Elizabeth Warren, just different people all came out and were angry at the fact that this happened. Now, this comes from Tony Maglio at The Hollywood Reporter. How Jimmy Kimmel's suspension went down, sponsor panic, a defiant host, and a painful call. I think this might be where I got the link for the Rolling Stone article about this. Let's see. Now, inside of ABC, there were multiple conversations with Kimmel that were at the executive level, as I mentioned before. And since that answer was not satisfactory, a bunch of Disney employees saw their emails were doxxed, per the first source, with some even receiving death threats. And a source said at Jimmy Kimmel Live countered that to THR, saying that Kimmel's planned on-air address was not, quote, making it worse, but that he was simply wasn't kowtowing to the outrage. Kimmel was, quote, defending what he said as being grossly mischaracterized by a certain group of people. And Jimmy has yet to apologize. Now, this is a big thing because it all started because a big company named Nexstar, which owns and runs about 66 of the roughly 200 affiliate stations, ABC stations, said that they would be preempting the show, Jimmy Kimmel Live, with something else so that they would not have to air new episodes. Now, 66 of 200 might not sound like a lot, but it is. This comes from The Hollywood Reporter. How Jimmy Kimmel might have just been sacrificed for a multi-billion-dollar deal. This comes from Steven Zaitchik and Alex Weprin. And again, these are all in the show notes. You can check them all in the show notes. I'm not putting them up on screen because I'm just blowing past them so that I can talk about the one or two things in them. They're all important, but one or two things in them that I wanted to bring out. Now, the Nexstar founder, Perry Shook, whose company owns local stations from Tampa to Burlington to Portland, Oregon, and even KTLA and Los Angeles. In addition to cable news outlet, Jesus Christ, he owns a News Nation. He also owns The Hill and a majority stake in the CW. Basically came out and went and announced that preemptization, and then Disney said that they weren't going to do new episodes, and that the show was going to be on hiatus or suspended, really. He is it Sook or Shook? Did I say Sook? Perry Sook. Sook had a fervent wish in November of last year for how the coverage of the second Trump administration will go. He hoped, he said, the country would, quote, soon be eliminating the level of activist journalism out there. Jesus Christ. He sounds a lot like what's his name? Who's the purveyor of Amazon? Jeff Bezos. He sounds a lot like Jeff Bezos, who, when Bezos bought Washington Post, a billionaire buying one of the most storied newspaper rags, news rags in the country. It was a frustrating thing that had to happen if the Washington Post was going to continue. Actually, I don't even know. I don't know if the Washington Post was needing for them was needing for that money. Was needing for that money? I don't know if that's right. I tried to correct myself, and I was like, no. I'm right the first time. Or I needed that money and wanted that money. But what we saw from there was, even up until last week, we saw people be let go because of comments surrounding the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and whether it, unless it was, how do I put this, in a mournful nature of Kirk's death, people were getting let go, fired, in trouble because they weren't admonishing the person that took the shot and killed Charlie in the first place. Whereas there are open people online openly supporting the death of this person who, again, and also people who are, and there's also people who are pointing out that he is, yes, a racist, a big racist who would not care about somebody like me or or a lot of people watching Jimmy Kimmel Live or late night or on the internet or existing period. So people are getting in trouble for that unfairly, and you have a vice president under couchfucker JD Vance going out and hosting an episode of Kirk's podcast, which should be defunct. Just saying. Hosting an episode of Kirk's podcast and saying to hunt these people down and to basically snitch on them and say that they are bad and that they should be fired from their jobs. Where if you watch any of the monologues that I included again in the show notes, this is 2 years ago, last year, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 6, 7, 8 years ago. If people did this, if people did this on the left, then the people on the right would be bitching and moaning about that, which is so stupid and so hypocritical. It's beyond hypocritical. It's hypo-hypocritical. Now, according to, who's this Alfred guy? I'm reading this as I go through because there's so much. According to Nexstar Broadcasting Division President Andrew Alford, who's one of the people, along with Sook, to tell Disney executives that they would be preempting live on 30 or more of the ABC stations it owned. He's quoted saying, Mr. Kimmel's comments about the death of Mr. Kirk are offensive and insensitive, which I'm pausing the quote. If anything, his comment is barely even addressing the if you watched that clip, you wouldn't even know that there was an assassination that happened, but whatever. At a critical time in our national political discourse, and we do not believe they reflect the spectrum of opinions, views, or values of the local communities in which we are located. Okay. Which that's so stupid. Now, this decision, if you don't know anything about Nexstar, is happening in the aftermath of an announcement where Nexstar is in the attempt of a $6.2 billion acquisition of rival Tegna, which would give it, this is coming from the article, 64 additional news stations in 51 markets to go with the 200 that it already owns and its partner stations it already has, and bring the company's market coverage of the United States to about 80%. Even if these people, this company was not conservative, and again, it owns News Nation. And I think the Hill is like truly just right up the middle. It's a Washington based thing that is just truly right up the middle. But I don't read the Hill, so again, I watch The View. No, I'm kidding. Currently, the FCC, again, which is run by Brendan Carr, the FCC's current, who's a Trumper, who was appointed by Trump, the current cap for the FCC for any one company's share of the United States market coverage for television, communications, news division, whatever, is 39%, and they would own up to 80% of it. Which means that Nexstar would love for the FCC to look past that stoppage number of 39%, in the same way that, I don't know, Paramount wanted Skydance to buy it, even though that would make it a monopoly. And at some point, Paramount, Skydance may want to buy Warner Brothers Discovery, which is something I talked about on last week's episode of The Constitutionals. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Watch on youtube.com/comedy. Nexstar and Tegna will file their application with the FCC for the merger by the end of the month, according to a separate SEC filing, excuse me. It is. You don't need me to tell you that we are just in some kind of ass backward phase of the United States. I don't even know there's a phase where people are in legacy media, or in every version of media, are having to deal with the consequences of something so admittedly, pretty big. A person was murdered in front of, or killed in front of, a bunch of other people. I don't know where I was going with that, but a person was killed in front of other people, but at no point, have I turned on CNN or MSNBC or PBS NewsHour or really read anything in the New York Times or the Washington Post, or I don't read the Washington Post. I don't know why I lied about that. or the Atlantic or Vox or anything. Have I read anything where people are celebrating? The only people who are celebrating are people, reading The Onion, the comments section. Oh, it's so good. It's the one time I'm going to Instagram and I'm looking for the comments. The one time I'm going to Reddit and I'm going to r/hip hop heads, and I'm seeing people post songs. Break Your Neck, Busta Rhymes, Protect the Neck, Wu-Tang Clan, My Neck, My Back. The possibility that the Kimmel fracas was a merger related even reached the doorstep of the Hollywood Teamsters, generally a less liberal group who nonetheless, quote, condemned the Nexstar, Sinclair, and ABC Disney moves and collared what it said was the culprit. Saying in a statement, "We are witnessing a dangerous trend of corporations trying to fast-track mergers through the back door." Again, you do not want giant mergers to happen. You don't want monopolies. You don't want any of this stuff. Companies should not own all the broadcasts. If Paramount Skydance, which is run by David Ellison, whose father is billionaire conservative Larry Ellison, who also owns a bunch of Larry Ellison owns. Just typed in Larry Ellison owns on Google. Who also owns Oracle. He has a significant stake in Tesla. He's given money for X, Twitter. Also owns Lanai. He owns nearly the entire island of Lanai. Jesus. Let me see the Larry Ellison. This comes from ThomasNet. Oracle owns Sun Microsystems, NetSuite, Hyperion Solutions, Cybele Systems, PeopleSoft, Cerner, and along with additional investments in Tesla, Theranos X, Sensei AG. You don't want these people taking control of CBS News and then also CNN. News is supposed to remain objective. Yet we have people at Fox News sending out damnations for, a president wearing a beige suit or for a president eating ice cream. And yet when they're on their side, when their president is more than likely on a list of hanging out with teenagers on an island somewhere, teenage girls, known predator, convicted felon. This again, this is batshit. Obviously, fans have been protesting Disney. This comes from Variety, written by Dan Dobrowski and Cynthia Littleton. Sorry, I'm a little drunk. Jimmy Kimmel fans and protesters decry Trump ICE raids and erosion of First Amendment rights. If he's shut down, I'm shut down. People were outside protesting Disney in California. I'll tell you this. Dobrowski and I don't know if I'm saying this right, and Littleton over at Variety referred to the assassination as slaying, which makes it modern. The turnout for hastily planned demonstrations Thursday outside Disney headquarters in Burbank and New York and Kimmel's stage in Hollywood was small but passionate. The FCC's, I'm getting a cramp. Oh my God, I'm getting a cramp. The FCC's, I felt it. I bent my leg and I felt it. The FCC's chief unveiled threats against ABC and Disney over Kimmel's stirred passions, and diehard Kimmel fans, as well as everyday people, alarmed at what they see as the erosion of social norms and civil liberties under the Trump administration. Remember, besides this Kimmel thing, and besides the Colbert thing, the both ABC and CBS were sued by Trump and lost and settled with Trump after 60 Minutes put out the story with Kamala Harris where they had something in the teaser where she rambled before giving an answer to a question, and they didn't include the rambling part in the interview because as if they were going to waste 10 seconds of her rambling when you only have 44 minutes during broadcast. And then also ABC, in ABC's case, they settled after George Stephanopoulos reported the news about Trump, and Trump didn't like what he said. What a horrible age. What a horrible age we live in. Like, this is bad. This is bad. We are quickly, as fast as AI is being developed by AI companies, we are quickly becoming North Korea. We're going to live under a government that wants us to watch exactly what they want us to watch. And no longer will we have objective news or objective news people. And I'm not saying that everybody is perfect and everybody's right at CNN or CBS or ABC or NBC. What I'm saying is, this cramp really fucking hurts. But what I'm saying is that there are enough people at CNN and ABC and Fox, I'll even include Fox in this, and NBC and CBS and the New York Times and even the Washington Post and Vox and CNBC and every other news periodical in the United States and even in the world that aren't including their opinions and doing the work and providing the right type of news. And that's what it is, news. David Letterman sat down with The Atlantic in a surprise interview with Jeffrey, with The Atlantic's editor-in-chief. I'm not kidding. This cramp is killing me. It's in my right leg, my right hammy. With The Atlantic's editor-in-chief, Jeffrey Goldberg. It's a 20-minute impromptu interview, and it's very good. In which Letterman discusses what's going on and saying that, quote, this is a misery. He says also, in addition to that, in the world of somebody who is in an authoritarian, maybe a dictatorship, sooner or later, everyone is going to be touched. He mentions that he did this for 5 or 6 presidential administrations. He's got Carter. He's got Bush 1. He's got Clinton. He's got Bush 2. He's got Obama. Who am I missing? Oh, yeah, Reagan. He also did Reagan. He says, I attacked those men mercilessly. Never once. Excuse me, hold on. He's talking about Jimmy Carter. He never did. But he did Bill Clinton really hard. He did George Bush really hard. But the point is, he added, beating up on these people, rightly or wrongly, accurately or perhaps inaccurately, in the name of comedy, not once were we squeezed by anyone from any governmental agency, let alone the dreaded FCC. Goldberg asked, never an intimation? No, Letterman answers, because everybody sort of understood in the name of humor, in the name of commenting on what's going on in the world, cultural events, why not? It's an interesting conversation. I think you should definitely listen to it. In the same vein, you should also check out. This is a surprise for me. I was taking Maverick out for a walk after the gym, and Kara Swisher and Scott Galloway covered this news as well. Hold on, I have so much ready to go. This is like one of the few times I'm prepared. And you know Scott. Scott is very much a person who thinks, at this point, everything should be on streaming, and it doesn't matter if those 200 people that Kimmel works with will be let go, but he's going to get his best 15, and he's going to go to Disney Plus or whatever and just do or make a podcast. Because that's viable at this point in time, and just be able to make these comments without being regulated by the FCC, much in the same way that Megyn Kelly and Joe Rogan and the rest of those people on the right, and as well as people on the left, are able to do the exact same thing, because podcast is not regulated by the FCC. Now, they take a look at this from the business perspective. Disney's not losing a lot by canceling Kimmel. It's not canceled. Again, he's suspended. Only 12% of his viewers are age 18 to 49. He has an average of just 228,000 viewers within a demographic, which is down, over the past couple of years. The show averages about 1.8 million viewers a night. That's not good. But that's better than a lot of other shows on broadcast. But the show, the clips, like every other late night show, does really well online, particularly YouTube. You can go right now to The Daily Show's YouTube page, and you can see it's after 14 hours, 5.5 million views for Stewart's monologue. It's 23 minutes, 24 seconds. Again, it's a wonderful conversation, even though they do take a look at it from a business perspective, and it is only from the business perspective, and rather as opposed to how comedians or people in not news media will take a look at it. Additionally, a Kimmel staffer, according to the Hollywood Reporter, this comes from Tony Maglio, the staffer went unnamed, saying, quote, they can't imagine a scenario in which ABC Late Night, the show returns. Which is interesting to me. I don't think, as soon as I saw that headline, I thought, that show's not canceled. They're not going to cancel that show. I would be very interested in seeing if they cancel that show, because I think Jimmy also just signed on for a couple more years. But if they cancel that show, the penalty that they would have to pay for, speaking of business side, for Kimmel. This person said, and there's some real cutting words here. I'm in the middle of those moments that really defines the type of person you are, a staffer said. It is becoming increasingly clear in recent weeks that Sir Iger and the ABC executives would cut us loose in a second if they thought something we did might hurt attendance at Disney World or cost anyone their annual bonus. If you'll remember, when Disney never, during the Don't Say Gay situation a couple of years ago in Florida and basically around the world, but mostly in Florida, where, what's his name? Guy who wears boots. Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis. Where Ron DeSantis was planning on, just not giving Disney what they needed in terms of the park support, and even we learned in that situation that as big as Disney is, and you can see it with with Anthony Mackie's Captain America show and with Brave New World. And a lot of other stuff surrounding, Marvel. This isn't the reason that why Marvel has gone downhill from what it once was in terms of box office love. But even, and I say this all the time, even racists love Marvel movies. Even racists love Disney movies. They truly, genuinely, sincerely don't give a shit about Encanto, but they want to, but they're dumb kids. They're dumb little, growing up probably to be racist kids. More than likely, I was going to say something that was going to get me canceled, but I'm not going to. More than likely would love to be taken to see Encanto. What language is they speaking? That's probably saying that. These dumb little racist kids would love to be taken to see Raya and the Last Dragon, Princess and the Frog, as much as the parents aren't going to watch it. They're dumb little racist kids, probably going to grow up to be racist kids, are the ones who they're also joining in on the love for Golden, the K-pop Demon Hunters. I don't know what they're saying, but I sure do enjoy Golden. The person also added that they were not shocked by ABC's decision to suspend the show, but surprised by the timing. The person said, you could see it coming every time some MAGA asshat would spout off at the show about the show. The knot in my stomach just grew tighter. There's a lot of people working on the show who obviously can't. I'm paraphrasing this this quote here, this upcoming quote here, but there's a lot of people who can't afford to be out of work. The entertainment industry is just truly very bad right now when it comes to available work, and but we're in a very bad time, and jobs are few and far between. While there are growing incentives to shoot shows locally in Los Angeles, and there's growing tax reform when it comes to that, tax rebates when it comes to that, there's still a lot of places like New Zealand that are offering, or Ireland, that are Orland, cheaper, that are offering cheaper ways or venues to shoot. So it would make it much easier for companies or production studios just to say, hey, let's shoot New Zealand for Atlanta, Georgia, and then call it a day, because it'll be 40% cheaper to shoot over there than to actually go to Atlanta. The person said, the staffer said, you know what's really funny? As I was reading through the quotes, you can at the top of this piece, and truly Tony Maglio is a good writer, but at the top of this piece, Tony Maglio did not specify a gender. He would go he or she. At the very, very last quote, Tony says, the staffer said he. Like, dude, come on, man. You got to keep up the ruse. Anyway, the staffer said he, quote, can't imagine a scenario in which the show returns, adding, quote, even if Jimmy was willing to publicly apologize, which should not happen, and donate money. Oh, also, that is a thing. They, Chairman Carr wants, and all these other MAGA asshats want, I'm going to start using that, these bozos want Jimmy to give money to Charlie Kirk's, I don't know, family. I don't know what is his podcast. I don't know. No, you don't need to donate money to that conservative group, whatever. Even if Jimmy was willing to publicly apologize and donate money to whatever ghoulish conservative group that is demanding it, MAGA people will never be happy. It will never be enough, and Disney will look at the situation and decide it's cheaper to buy out the rest of his contract and replace the show with reruns of Modern Family and Judge Judy. Oh my gosh. You also have to keep in mind sponsors are a big part of this as well. It's not just affiliates and it's not just viewers, it's also sponsors. But also remember that sponsors barely did anything or have done anything when it comes to Fox News. In fact, I think the only time that sponsors ever pulled out of Fox News, sponsors pull out of Fox News. I spelled out wrong, if you could believe it. I spelled it. They've only done so. Oh God, Brian killed me. Let's see. Due to advertiser boycotts due to individual hosts, including Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham, Bill O'Reilly, and Glenn Beck. But even still, they always come back. Now, this final thing comes from Brian Steinberg over at Variety. He wrote an interesting analysis regarding other late night hosts who have been mired in controversy. How to bring a late night host back from the brink? Apologies can help. In the piece, he references Letterman, Carson, but Carson did, even though he wasn't somebody that often chided. He chided both sides, but he wasn't often mired in this stuff. But he does reference Carson, Letterman, who in 2009 made a joke about Sarah Palin. And it was very innocuous. And Bristol Palin, as well as Bill Maher and Samantha Bee. What did Samantha Bee say? I don't remember that. Samantha Bee sparked controversy after she used a charged epithet that refers to a part of the female anatomy to insult President Donald Trump's daughter, Ivanka. The result, after Bee delivered the remark in a 2018 broadcast, TBS lost ads from most sponsors except movie studios and had to fill the space with promos for its own properties. He offered it. Okay, so but anyway, the problem is the problem. The result was all of these people apologized. They also Steinberg also references a 2018 Weekend Update spot with Pete Davidson where he made fun of Dan Crenshaw, the congressman in Texas who has an eye patch and he lost it in serving as a Navy SEAL. He made a joke about that, and then everybody was pissy about it. And then Davidson apologized, and they brought Dan Crenshaw in on the next episode, which none of that should have happened. Like it was all a joke, and it's so interesting how, all of these when Tony Hinchcliffe, who was defended by and Joe Rogan were defended by Jon Stewart, not even as late as last year, as recent as last year, Jon Stewart did defend Tony Hinchcliffe when he appeared at the Trump rally, but even if but that's neither here nor there. For their freedom of speech. Even when Tony Hinchcliffe or a Joe Rogan or a Megyn Kelly or any one of these other people on this other side of the spectrum, including Elon Musk, these commentators, these big figures, either in politics or in the media, just in general, make wild claims or wild decisions, nothing really bad happens to them. And somebody who happens to be on the left makes one throwaway careless, again, he said MAGA gang, this throwaway careless remark, these people are up in arms. That is the play on words. I did not mean for it to come out that way. No guns here, except for these bad boys. But these people, when they go around to their offices committing sexual harassment, when they go around their offices saying it was just a joke, whenever they do something off-putting or off-kilter, they expect to be immediately, kind of like any Danny McBride character, immediately loved again. And it's unfortunate that we are at this point in time where we're not, when people get admonished for just doing their jobs. If Jasmine Crockett, who is in Congress, I don't know what the fuck she does. Yeah, she's a United States representative. If Jasmine Crockett stands up for herself during a meeting with other congressional candidates or U.S. representatives, then that becomes news because, on the left, people are like, good for her, she's standing up for herself. And then on the right, people are like, how dare she? She should know her place. But we have people like Lindsey Graham, like Tucker Carlson, like Brian Kilmeade, and Pete Hegseth, known drunk, almost killed somebody with a hatchet on live television. Let's keep that in mind. Is not qualified for his job. I'm more qualified for that Secretary of Defense job. But he served in the military. I don't give a shit. What can he defend? He can defend the minibar when it comes down to it. But we're at this junction where people are admonished for things that they say when they are at their jobs and doing their jobs correctly. And that is not a defense of any of those people at Fox News, because they're not doing their jobs. They are stoking the fires, and when they're out there trying to bully people, and when people come back and bully them, they say, ow, they fall down on the ground like they're playing soccer, football to you Europeans and the Spaniards. They fall down like they're playing soccer, faking an injury and saying, that's not fair. I'm taking the ball and I'm going home. And I'm going to tell my dad, and my dad's going to kill you. That's what these people are saying. And it is unfortunate that we are at this point in time, and it's never going to get better. It doesn't matter. And this is the one thing I did not like about the last week was how late night hosts had to decided to come out and say this is bad and we're at a political juncture and we should not be shooting each other. I don't think that is their place to do that, because we all know, we're not the people who made the decision to go buy a gun and to go and kill somebody else. I'm not saying that people who have watched late night haven't done that before. According to our dear leader, there are murders in Chicago every second of every day. It's one of the most dangerous cities in the world. But there are mass shootings. There are school shootings. There are people just walking down the street. There are horrible things that happen every single day. And to single this one thing out and to make it about getting another person fired and to make it about people who did not vote for another person, that they should be rounded up and sent to camps and put in ovens and all that stuff. It's crazy. It's crazy and thrown back into slavery that even those words can be put on the internet or on television and spoken outright. It's insane, but whatever. If you don't like this, don't subscribe, don't watch, don't listen, because I have nothing else for you. Late night is an institution, and it is being ripped to shreds because people like Sherry Redstone want to make billions of dollars on a sale of a company, and they say, we're just going to cancel this late night show because the host said something about the person in charge of the country, and I need my money. Sherry Redstone, you're in your 60s or 70s. You're not going to live as long as Sumner. That's not a threat. I'm just saying you're not going to live as long as Sumner. You have no one to give your money to, so what? And I am so disappointed in Bob Iger. What a stupid, and Dana Walden, what a stupid thing. Bob has done stuff before that I have not been a fan of, but of all the people in charge of companies, he's somebody I at least, liked. I like him more than Ted Sarandos. I like him more than David Zaslav. I like Ted Sarandos more than I like David Zaslav. I do not like David Zaslav at all. I like Bob J. Peck before he was ousted. Who was in charge of Comedy Central? I like that guy, and the three people in charge of it now are fine. Anyway, I'm done. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to famous people sometimes. If you want to watch a video version of the show, go to youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can see a video version of this show as well as a video version of the other podcasts. LinkedIn Logs, the Jobs podcast, and the Constitutionals, the Entertainment Business News podcast, where you can also watch the interviews, which is the video version of me talking to famous people. Subscribe to those shows wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on social media, TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, @C+Comedy, me, @ChadBlackWhite. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.